into the party wagon and hold on to your pizza. Welcome back, listeners, to Epic Tales from the Sewers. I'm your host, Justin. With me is my co-host, Mr. Eric Will. How you doing, Eric?
Doing fantastic. How you doing today there, Justin?
Good, dude. Good. I'm really excited today. Today, Eric brought me into this world of this particular artist, and I'm like geeking out a little bit because I'm pretty excited just from all the stuff that I've seen. And today, joining us, Mr. Hugh Rookwood, who is he's done the likes of Department of Truth, Rick and Morty, Red Nails of Sumerian, and Archie Horror, Vampironica, and the IDW Back to the Future Transformers crossover. And but I know him best from his Ninja Turtles art that I've seen on the Let's Get Sketchy show. So, and if you know it, it's called Tags, right? So, but Hugh, how you doing today?
I'm great, guys. Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure. I've heard about your guys' forum, and to actually be on it now, I'm really excited because I know you guys are the main source for turtle stuff. So
yeah, right. Yeah, that's.
I know you.
We know some people. We know some people when it comes to turtles.
Dude, so to be on this, I know I'm like, oh, I'm moving on up.
There you go.
Nah, we should have had you on a long time ago, though. I'm not even gonna lie. Like when I first seen you do some of the turtle work, like I remember, I'll never forget that one cover that you did where it was Batman and Turtles. Well, I know Batman and the Last Ronin. One cover. I mean, I think Dinner has that one.
Yeah, that was for Nat Daddy Collectibles.
Okay. Yeah, that one. I'm sorry. I looked at it. I was like, this dude needs to do more Turtles. Like point blank, he like absolutely just needs to do it.
Exactly. Well, when we were doing a lot of the sketch cover stuff, I've done a lot of the sketch covers. A lot of people know me for a lot of the sketch cover work, the blank variants and stuff like that. But I mean, I guess it was just that way, putting it out there, letting people see what I could do, and I got the opportunity to do the 132, and I said, man, I'm not dropping the ball on this.
Absolutely. I'm going to be honest with you. I got my issue on the way. I got Roos. I got the bundle. I had to get the bundle. I mean, that's just all there is too. When
from Big Country
Mike
Comics,
tore it up too. Right? Mike tore it up too.
Mm-hmm. And when I heard when Steve kind of told me a little bit about it, and I was like, just make sure you save me a bundle because I'm getting one. I had to.
Thanks.
So. Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go back to the beginning because you had mentioned off air that this was like a lifetime dream for you to do Turtles and all that. Mm-hmm. What's your history with Turtles? Where does it all start for you?
Wow, I guess for me, it's like you're talking from Toronto back in the days. There's a place called Silver Snail, and that was the first time I saw a Turtles book, right? Silver Snail, and it was just like, this is interesting. The style, that gritty style. It was really nice, and I was like, this is wild. But I mean, you remember the original Turtles? It was gritty, I
think they even mentioned the Silver Snail in the Turtle Power documentary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like Silver Snail was like the main shop in Toronto. It was really the biggest and the main, Queen Street at the time, and that's the first time. And from there, it was just like, oh man, this is different. And it was just like, and the stories were just so good. Like it was just such a good read on top of the visual. And what I appreciated too is just like, it was just a tight book. I just really loved the style, and there was even a lot of guys that I knew, that were doing martial arts and stuff like that. And they weren't even big comic book people per se, but they liked the Turtles, they were reading the Ninja Turtles, and I talk to guys and be like, yeah, I read comics too. I really like Ninja Turtles. It was just one of those books. It seemed to really just cross over. It really just got into the hands of different people. And it was just
the right people, right? Like the people that you'd want to be friends with. It got into their hands.
For sure, you know, and I mean, we're talking the days when you only really knew them by their weapons. That's it, you know.
All red bandanas, all red bandanas,
nunchucks. You know what I'm saying? Leo the katanas, Raph the size, and Don the staff. You know, the bowkin, right? So, like, I mean, that's you know, what we knew, but you never got lost in any of it. It was just you. It was always so defined so well. It was, you know, where they were on world or off world, you know, it was just a great read, you know.
So you go all the way back to the Mirage age then. Yeah, so were you able to collect those issues?
Yeah, I had some. Woe is me. A lot of my comics met their end. God bless my mom, but she kind of,
yeah. Moms are the harbinger of doom for the things of our childhood.
Well, I mean, it was like one year I was going to camp, and I'd left some books out because I used to like lay all my books out and just read, like, but I used to like, kind of almost like create a world, you know. I used to just lay out everything and just leave it. My mom says, if you don't pick up these books,
oh no,
I'm gonna burn them.
Please tell me it wasn't a first print.
And buddy, I came back. I said, "Oh, she moved the books for me."
Oh no!
Was it a first print? Was it a first print?
In the fireplace, and I saw this one little corner, and I said, "Oh no, she did. She just so yep."
Oh, what a crime! What a crime!
But, Eric, looks like your comic just went up in value.
Yeah, you know, but comic books back then, like, it wasn't looked upon, like, especially for adults coming up, you know. And I can understand, you know, it was a different time. You know, they just couldn't understand that, right? But those were the things that got me drawing. Like, that's what got me drawing. Like, my dad came home one time. He spent like $20. It was like a garage sale. And somebody had like 500 comic books in like garbage bags. And he just came home, and one day I'm lying down and watching TV, and he just went poof in front of me. He goes, "Here, a gift for you." And, you know, and it was just like, what?
Oh man, that's like gold.
Yeah, that was it, you know. And
what kind of things did you get in there? I'm guessing some turtles, but
oh man, like, guys, Spider-Man, you know, Avengers, Thor, Hulk, Daredevil. It was crazy. The range, Iron Man, you know, it was like the range was just amazing, you know. It was mostly Marvel stuff, but it was just like I sat down there and I just read every day. It was just reading books and just trying to draw, you know. And you know, it was Ditko stuff, Kirby stuff, you know, Ramirez, you know, senior and junior, you know, Bob Layton, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Andrew, you know, then Buscema work and Byrne work, and it was just like, oh my God, and that was it. Like, that was it. You know.
Where do you see your style? Like, do you see your style close to any of these others? Like, was there one artist that has that really stuck with you the most, and you're like, you know what, that's where I'm at?
Well, you know, my biggest influence is, like, when you're talking American comics, you know, you just might as well start from Kirby and go right up, you know. Kirby, Ditko, you know, the Ramirez, you know, but the Buscemas were probably my biggest influence. And then I also got to work under Ken Lashley at Draxhall Jump. And I was doing some finishes and stuff on a couple books like Wet Works and stuff like that.
Oh,
but
wow.
Back then the groups didn't get, you know, the studio didn't get like any
line credit.
Yeah.
So,
you know what I'm saying? But, you know, Ken was nice enough to get us to do some finishes. He'd, you know, break down some pages, say, hey, do some finishes on this, you know?
That's cool.
So I got to do some work on Wet Works, Magic the Gathering, Pit One Shot, you know, and you know, working with Ken Lashley, that's what just kind of just put me over. Like, just, you know.
You would absolutely crush a Pit book. So I'm just saying that would... If they had anything like that, still, you'd be great at that.
Well, the Power guys, like, I'm telling you right now, the Hulk was one of my characters, like, and Sal Buscema still for me is just like, you know, when you look at his books, you know, and no disrespect to any other Hulk artists or anything like that, but the energy this guy had on pages, like when the Hulk hit something, it was just like, things were flying off the page. You know what I mean? You know, you'd have the Hulk punching something, and all you'd see is 2 feet at the edge of the panel up top. You know, because he hit that hard. It was just a different energy. You know, the books from back in the days, just a different energy. You know, and
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, anything you saw back in the day, like in the 80s, in the early 90s, that was like, oh, it's a Hulk sticker, or it's a Hulk book, or something like that. It's like it was Sal art. You know, he did the Batman crossover with the Hulk. So
Sal Buscema for me is just like, especially when it comes to the Hulk, like Hulk 300. For me, I have like 4-ish copies of that issue.
Wow.
Like, you know, that's the one where he's completely savage. His, you know, the mind of Bruce Banner is completely submerged. And then he's just like completely rage monster. And, you know, he's fighting S.H.I.E.L.D. You know what I'm saying? Power Man, Iron Fist, you know, the Avengers, and he's just beating down everybody. And it was just crazy until Thor comes in and just says enough, you know. And then
that's what I thought. I thought that was like a Thor one where he came in.
Yeah, it was a big issue. It was like what, 35 pages, was it? Something like that.
Oh wow.
And it was just that book is like Bible for me, man. When I look at that and look at the energy and stuff, like Sal was just a monster in that book.
What a mix of characters too. I mean, I'm a huge Luke Cage fan. Definitely a huge Luke Cage fan. So, but I'm just thinking, I'm like, wow, Iron Fist. I'm like, what the hell is he gonna do?
You know? Yeah, well, you know, he tried. Yeah. Like both of them got slapped. It was like, you know, it was just showing levels. Like the whole book was just showing levels. You know what I'm saying? And why the Hulk is the Hulk. It was just a fantastic book. And I tell anybody, if you want to read a great Hulk book, read that, man. Pick up Hulk 300. Pick up the one before. You know what I'm saying?
Is that Stanley writing still?
Oh my gosh, I can't remember.
Because 300 would have been just about in the 80s, right? Because
yeah. That's still Stanley. I don't know. I can't remember if Stanley wrote that story or
maybe. I don't know who was writing in the 80s. For that.
But it was still, you know, you're talking about back then where, you know, everything was tied in a lot. You know what I'm
Jim
saying?
Shooter era, sort of. Yeah. That's you know your comics, so that's really cool.
Yeah, that's, you know, I mean, especially with the classic stuff, you know, I'm a little more versed with certain classic stuff. But you know, it's always been a love. Drawing has always been a love, you know, and like I said, the Turtles is one of those things that has just been like one of those key books in my growth as an illustrator, where I was always like, man, if I could ever do a Turtles, it would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
I'm saying, like, you know,
that's like those benchmarks. Like, I imagine another one for some people is probably like, oh man, wouldn't it be cool to do Batman or Spider-Man or something else? But you know, this is the most successful independent book, at least right now. I won't say of all time, because it brings me to Spawn, who I was going to bring up, because you do a killer Spawn.
Well, thanks.
Like that was one of the ones that I thought was like just really amazing, and I'm like, to pull that out of his repertoire, it's like a really cool Spawn, and I think it was like a Spawn Batman crossover that you would.
Oh yeah, I just did that one. That one is that one is an exclusive. Actually, I got a in-store event coming up on the 1st.
Nice.
Kamikaze. And so I did an exclusive for the store for the store. So I just did that, right, for them, and you know, just to help promote and stuff. I always try to, you know, with my local comic book, you know, stores and stuff, you know, anytime I can do anything to kind of help out and, you know, do things that's going to bring, you know, traffic into the shop, I do, because, you know, the comic book shops, that's what's the staple, you know,
absolutely,
growing up, you know. And I hate when I see a brick and mortar have to go in there just because they can't get enough, you know, people to come in. And I understand the times, you know, the times are hard, right now, money is tight for people. So, you know, I just try to do what I can, you know, and I appreciate anybody who looks at my artwork and says, hey, Hugh, man, we really like your stuff. Could you come do something? Like, you know, there's so much phenomenal artists out there. So I always appreciate when people are like, hey, man, would you come do something with us? And I'm like, yeah, man, for sure. You know, so.
Yeah, and I mean, Eric was saying about the tags group, the things are getting sketchy and all that, and I saw you guys had one last night, and I saw some pretty interesting stuff. There was a Slash and a Fozzie, a Snake Plissken.
That was Mike. That was Mike.
Yeah, that was Mike. But I know you did a Hawk last night for Pena because he's part of the Bish Kids Club and stuff.
Yeah.
That one thing about him though, about Hugh, is that out of everybody he did the most. He did the most coasters. He did 5 coasters. I mean, he knocks them out. He knocks them out. Yep. I mean, he's just like, okay, what is it? Okay, I had my Kirby and I was sitting there just sitting there watching him, and probably about 20 minutes later, he's like, all right, it's done. And it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, and it's like professional quality, and everything's like on point. You're like, wow, this is really detailed too.
Yeah. Look, I mean, look here, hang on. I'm pouring it out right now. Like seriously, dude. Like, look at this thing.
Yeah, that was a slide. Yeah, that was a.
This is the first time he's ever drew Kirby too, by the way.
Kirby. Yeah, that's the Kirby, man.
So Kirby, the supposed 5th turtle. Right? We had Kevin on the show. I asked him about that too. So,
well, it's funny because when I was requested, I hadn't heard it for such a long time. I was like, Kirby. I was like, oh, how's this guy look again? Like, it's just had been such a long time. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, oh, I had to actually take a look and that's right.
I threw you a curveball on that one. No, I think I even threw a curveball at Stefan about it. They're like, who is that? And then, me and Rob were explaining,
Yeah, been a long minute. It had been a long minute. But you know what? That's what I really enjoy about. Well, I was just talking to Stefan about that. That's what I enjoy about the coaster to coaster nights, especially because it's not just like, oh, we're sitting down for the 3 hours and doing one illustration. It's just pop, 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 pop. And whatever a person wants and comes up with, that's what we're putting down. And then we have like a small coaster like this to put that information on, right? So I like it because it forces you to be creative and okay, how am I going to do something that's
in this small area,
a little headshot that can still feel dynamic and have a lot of energy to it, right? And that's just how I approach my stuff. I like if you look at my stuff, I'm an energy guy. I like lots of energy. I like dynamic energy. I like push pull. I like for people to feel like they're in the moment when I draw. And so I like to play with those things. So I play with perspective, exaggerated anatomy, all of that kind of stuff, because I just want things to feel like it's coming out at you or you're being pulled in, So that's just what I like to do.
I have a print of yours from Eric had gotten it for me. It was Daredevil fighting Bullseye. And that's exactly how I would describe it, is that sort of push-pull energy and very dynamic. Yeah, it's really cool. And it's in color too, which is even better. So I love it.
The coloring on that one was done by Nikos Koutis and Mike Torres. They're the color team on Savage Dragon.
No kidding.
Yeah, I know those guys, and they're from Greece.
Wow.
Very nice guys. Those guys are awesome.
So you got some roots to Image Comics here, then, don't you?
Well, I know a few people.
That's really cool. Yeah,
you know some people. You know people.
No joke, man. Savage Dragon is the same storyline that's been going on for over 30 years with the same creator, which has never been done before.
You have to give Eric Larson his props. You have to. Like, Savage Dragon is there. You have to give it its respect. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're a fan or not a fan, like, you have to give it its respect to be able to do that. Like, it's, and Savage Dragon is still going strong.
Yeah. I don't know what number that they're on now or anything like that, but I imagine Spawn must have taken a hiatus at some point, because I know they hit 300 eventually and all that. But I mean, I don't even know what are they at, like 500 for. They gotta be getting close. What's 30 comics?
Yeah, it's been a minute. Like, I don't even know, because I haven't really followed Spawn for say the story in a good while. But
I certainly haven't. I fell out at some point.
Yeah, they're up there. They're up there.
I was more of like a Gen 13 Wildcats, Wildstorm sort of Image guy, but I've read them all. And I'll tell you, it's like the cool thing about when that originally started is, like, you got Youngblood and Chapel, which connected to Spawn, which connected to Pit, which connected to Gen 13 and Youngblood, like all this stuff, and then backwards. And then it's like, hey, what's this? Oh yeah, that's the Max. I don't know what that is. That's a whole another thing, But it was really cool. And for anyone who's listening, if you're not big Image fans, go take a look at. There's a documentary on Amazon. all about the creators of Image, and Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, and Jim Lee, like Eric Larson, Mark Silvestri, and Jim Valentino from Shadowhawk. Can't do this without Shadowhawk because he showed up too. So, and he's been a mainstay in Image ever since. So, but yeah, it's cool. Like some really classic comic talk here. That's kind of fun.
That's what even with that Image, that idea of the connectivity, that's all Marvel. You know what I'm saying? That was one of the strengths about Marvel Comics that made me such a Marvel comic fan. Like, you could be reading Spider-Man and all of a sudden Daredevil would appear and he'd be like, "Hey, thank you for that help last week when we fought blah 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 blah." And then there'd be this little box. And if you go to Daredevil issue number, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Find that story. And then all of a sudden I would collect that, and then now I'm collecting Daredevil. Like, they were like brilliant. It was brilliant. Like when Stan was running it, it was just like, you know what I'm saying? Your stuff was tight, it was really tight, and I like that connectivity, I really like that connectivity in stories.
I think all the Turtles really have with that is, at times they had the Mighty Mutanimals, but really, like, Casey is obviously there, but he's like part of their story, really. But they did have a crossover with Savage Dragon.
Yeah.
And there was 2-issue arc that they did, and they were trying to bring them into the actual Image universe at one point. Didn't work out, but at the time that they were doing that, it was actually going to be Mars Attacks versus Image, which absolutely happened. That is an absolute thing. So it just it never worked out for like the licensing. I think then after that, Peter had decided to put the book out again or something.
But they're doing right now they're doing all the Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. That's a sequel. Maybe there'll be some covers available for that one. That was a big deal between that. They had Ghostbusters crossover and X-Files crossover, which was just a single issue, but that was pretty cool.
I'm looking for a Walking Dead crossover.
That would be interesting. That's like a world concept.
Yeah.
I just like a turtle zombie sort of thing. I'm holding out for the most obvious, and the one that should happen more than anything should be a Daredevil crossover. That's something that I just hope happens at some point in my lifetime.
Yeah,
let's just make them meet.
That would
surprised it hasn't happened.
That would be pretty damn cool. The Foot teaming up with the hand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And Daredevil and the Ninja Turtles have to team up, and that would be crazy.
you think about it, they see Elektra and they think it's Karai, but it's not. And
it could be wild.
Yeah.
That's an idea you can do for the next OA that you do or something like that for Turtle Night or something.
Yeah, it's saying something really dangerous like that. Yeah. Sounds like a plan, buddy.
I love it.
Light bulb.
Indeed.
All it needs is the right creative energy behind it, and it's you could have anybody, anybody come up with the idea, but who's going to execute the best?
I'll be honest with you. I really enjoy the Turtles, not in the when there's too much sci-fi-ness. Actually, I like when it's more kind of like traditional versus traditional, kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like their traditional weapons versus other traditional, you know what I'm saying?
Martial arts. So fighting foot soldiers, maybe.
Foot, and just things that are just in that realm of I guess the martial artness. I guess I should say, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So do you practice martial arts, I should ask?
Yeah, actually, well, not as much anymore, but yeah, I used to. I started out in a style called Taekwondo. It was Grandmaster Insuk's version of Hapkido. He had combined it with some of his family art called Kung Shin Bop and some other traditional Hapkido. And then Taekwondo, and did some traditional boxing and all that kind of stuff. So I have, I did do some martial arts, and when I do, I'm a little bit more than just the classic one punch type things. I like to see a lot of movements, hands blocking. I grew up on a lot of the Chinese and Japanese the Japanese manga and the Chinese comics too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like if you were following anything from Jade Man comics or anything like that, you know, the Force of Buddha's Palm, you know what I'm saying? Mega Dragon versus Tiger, you know, and the Kung Fu comics, and it was like really wild. And they would draw, but you would see the exchanges, like the blocks and stuff, and the exchange in martial arts exchanges, right? And I really got into that a lot. So yeah, when I draw and I do fight scenes, I'm very aware of body position and how
That's
the
cool.
and you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that when doing certain movements, right?
So little things like even just like positioning of the feet, I
yeah,
imagine, like a kick, and
yeah, makes a difference. It makes a difference.
I think it does, yeah, because that's what comes across.
You know, having a background like that, and you can put it into your work. I mean, it's just, you know,
well, I was just talking with yesterday, like I was saying with Mike, like when I did this cover, you know, I said, well, what am I going to do to be like a little bit unique to me? Like give myself, you know, Turtles has been drawn for how long, right? So
yeah,
what am I going to do? And a lot of times when I see a lot of turtle drawings and stuff, and I'm not taking anything away from anybody, right? But you know, it's the classic stance, you know, Leo holding his two swords, Raph might be holding, you know, but I said, well, how can I, you know, it's not just the fact that, hey, he's wearing a purple headband, he's wearing a blue one, he's wearing an orange one. Like it's more than that, right? That defines them. Their weapons really define them. That's how we grew up, right? Their weapons really defined them, right? Before it started to become a color thing, right? So what I did was I looked at martial arts forms. So other than Raphael in the picture, each one of them is in a pose from an actual martial arts form, so the ending of some form. So Leo in the front there is from what he's doing with that movement with his palm behind the sword. There's from a sword form.
Oh, no kidding.
Donnie is at the end of a staff form there. That's why he's twisted like that. It's the end of a staff form, and then Mike with a nunchaku form. Right.
Yeah, I brought it up. I don't know if you can see. I'm looking at it right now. So as you're saying it, I'm like.
So other than Ralph, I had to modify and do some things to make sure he fit in the composition. So his is not really, it's a little more thing, but the other ones, yeah, I was really looking at martial arts forms, like even Jenica there, the way she's planted and stuff is the start of like a style for a sweeping movement that she would be doing, right?
That's cool.
So I really I just said, you know what, Hugh, what can I do? And then I said, you know what, I'm going to emphasize their tools. I'm going to emphasize their technique behind their tools, you know, a little bit more, right? So that's what I was doing. That's what I was going for with that composition. How can I emphasize their tools? And I said, well, if I'm going to emphasize their tools, I need to go back to that traditionalness behind each tool, right? And so I went and started looking at forms, sword forms and stuff like that. So when I was looking at Leo, I was looking at sword forms, and one of the forms is when he's doing a breathing, when the katana comes down and he pushes out like that with the palm, right? That's from a sword form. And then Donnie.
I was kind of wondering about that too, because I saw it and I saw his hand, and I was like, oh, what is he doing here?
Yeah,
that's cool. I've done a fair amount of martial arts in my life too. So, but I mean, I couldn't tell you that I've done like, you know, nunchuck or bow staff or sword form like that and all that. So that's really great research.
But those are awesome. When I was coming up as an illustrator, you know, our teacher, especially my life drawing teacher, he was just phenomenal. But, you know, he used to tell us, you have, on a single page, you have one shot to tell your story. What's your story? So whenever I'm thinking about my composition, that's why I say, when I tell people I don't draw, I don't illustrate. I try to capture moments, you know? So my thing on that is I'm doing a collage of characters here, a collage of each of the characters here, but what is the moment for each character, You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I started to look at their martial arts forms for each weapon. And I said, what would be the great moment to catch in each form? And then I was looking at sword form and I saw that and I was like, yeah, that's perfect for Leo. You know what I'm saying? An exhale, concentrated form right there, like, with the sword, that control behind the katana. And the same with Donnie, as Donnie was doing a sweeping back movement with the bow staff, and then Mikey with the nunchaku and just holding that pose there like that, the strength in that pose where that release, the tension before the release to come out, And so I was really looking at those things and I just said, let me try to emphasize the tools behind the man. You know what I'm saying? The tools and the techniques behind what each of them do. And you understand even more why they are who they are. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what I want to get out. Some people will get it. Some people, won't, and that's, it's just my thing. Like, I have my chance to tell a turtle story. What am I going to say? I only have one page to tell my story. What am I going to say? Well, here it is, and that's really how I look at each thing, when I illustrate.
I like that perspective too. It's you're going back to the roots of what you liked about the characters, and as you're emphasizing here, it's you like the idea of when they're traditional and kind of street level and fighting against like enemies, and really able to show their technique and why they are who. That's fantastic. And what do you think of that? The Shredder's going to be the one leading the charge into this Armageddon game.
Well, that's it, right? Like, here you go on, and you've had a whole history of fighting to this person trying to kill you, destroy your family, the whole nine, and now you have to work with the same person who was trying to, you know what I'm saying, destroy you, and find a common ground so you can to defeat this new threat. Like, it's brilliant. I say it's brilliant.
Tom is just really locked into these guys. It's Tom Waltz has an idea of what the characters like, how they should be, how they speak, and all that, and it's so unique. I love his stuff, and I love the stuff that's going on before. Where he takes the couple issues off, like was it like 30 something issues he's taken off in between the issue 100 to just about now. And it really kind of focuses on all the characters, but not like, oh yeah, we're not going to fight so much as this, but you're going to figure out Leonardo's a gardener when he's not, teaching martial arts. And Mikey starts a podcast, and Donatello is helping, repair the school. I'm like, this is the first time that we've been able to actually figure out who these guys are.
Exactly.
It's kind of an interesting time. And this is the longest run of any Turtles book ever.
Yeah.
So it's uncharted territory. Like, for the first time.
This is something that, like, Turtles is something that it can't die. It's not, it's like the Simpsons in that regard. Like, it dies when they finally say, okay, you know what, enough. Because the stories can go, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing stopping it. Like, it can go anywhere, like, Last Ronin, like, you do Last Ronin, and then now you're doing everything leading up to Last Ronin. Like, that's crazy again. You know what I'm saying? And then when you started to even emphasize those tensions between characters, and you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, even though we're brothers, we don't all think alike. And sometimes, there's, we pissed off at each other, but we still got to fight together. We still got to do these. We still got to do that. Like, it's beautiful. It's a great formula to tell a lot of different human, experiences through these characters, and then them not being human and dealing with that, it's like, it's great. Like, I just think it's Turtles is just beautiful. You know what I'm saying? It's just a beautiful.
It's funny as Eric has his son come out. One of the things I was going to actually say is that it also translates so well in every incarnation to kids. Awesome. What is it? Turtle backpack?
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. It's my son's backpack. I'm gonna be honest with you. He's just in love with the Turtles as much as I am. All right, that's deflated. Come on. I know I gotta blow it up. We're waiting to get shelves done. I literally have boxes just sitting over here right now. got the guy working on some shelves.
Trust me,
to build up
place myself to talk to you guys.
Flip the camera,
this is playing Welcome to the Jungle.
this is my turtle room right here. As you can tell, it's a turtle shell. I am a huge collector. I collect anything and everything.
All the video games.
I got some stuff from you and Mike, and macaroni and cheese boxes.
Turtles is one of the greatest franchises ever created, hands down. And you know what's brilliant about it is, just like you said, you can gravitate and catch the 4-year-olds and go straight up to adult, and you can write in that way, and it doesn't take anything away from what it is. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. It's you can get as deep and as philosophical as you want with
definitely
with things. When you're talking about, even when you're talking about just the martial arts aspect of it, and you really dive into that, you know what I'm saying? It's great. Like, you could take one character, just Leo alone, and just do a whole thing on his training. And
I like this, Eric. I like what he was talking about here.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. Just him learning the katana.
Leo.
And then a lot of people, I tell people, you don't really he doesn't use one sword, he uses 2 swords. You know what I'm saying? So if you know anything about double sword, you know what I'm saying, that's Musashi. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The sword was, you know what I'm saying? Miyamoto Musashi, right? So it's so
maybe that's why he's the first one that showed up in the Usagi Yojimbo series.
Exactly. And so he's fighting using a very difficult weapons technique. Double sword is very difficult to use. You know what I'm saying? And so, you could really focus on each of them and their journey on learning their tools. That's a whole another thing.
I absolutely agree with you. I think that's a part that's kind of left on the cutting room floor, where it's we just see that they're so good, but we never saw how they got so good.
You can do some craziness if you really start to dive into that. It's that's a whole, and like we were talking about before, we're talking about each of their personalities. Splinter gave them those particular tools as a counter to their personalities to force them to get a hold of their emotions in a certain way. You know what I'm saying?
Balance them. It's like the balance thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mikey is very sporadic and chaotic, so he has to learn how to use the nunchucks because he needs to learn concentrate and learn control, because it's a blunt weapon, right? It's not a cutting weapon. So to kill with a weapon like that, you have to be very precise. You know what I'm saying? To knock out a person, you have to be very precise. I thought that was brilliant. So you could imagine the training that had to go into that to get to temper that energy, to get him to become a verse person in that tool. And like you said, you've done some martial arts yourself, so you know what it takes. How much punching and doing a certain punch or doing a certain kick.
It's so much repetition.
It's all repetition. But you can fool around with Splinter and what was the ways and things that he was doing to get him taught. Maybe Splinter didn't teach them everything himself. Maybe he brought in other things or other people, or you know what I'm saying? Maybe they're,
we're going down a huge rabbit hole right now. I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. I absolutely agree with you. I mean,
you go crazy.
Well, this is the place for it. I mean,
absolutely. And it's there's so much. You can go with Iron Man and all this other stuff, and we already know how. We can build up to we already know what they went through to get where they're at. Now with the Turtles, okay, so they got mutagen, did a little bit of couple of things, but they didn't go through the full thing. Okay, how did they, with all the weapons and so on and so forth. I mean, like you said, the Turtles are, me personally, I feel are the most versatile superheroes, or whatever you want to call them,
They have saved the planet and the universe, so they are superheroes.
But what does that tell you? But what does that tell you about the strength of the characters themselves? That you can basically go from, hey, we're mutagen, you just say that they trained and now they're this.
Yes.
And still have this longevity of stories going on.
Yes.
And still build this fan without even knowing anything more that they were these turtles. They got mutated. They learned some martial arts techniques and now they're fighting the foot. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, it's like okay, with the last Ronin. Okay, so we have a big time span in between some of these issues, and now they're doing the Lost Years. So now they're going back to that, and plus, we can sit here. We can say 99.9% that Casey Marie and the 4 new turtles that she's creating. Obviously, there's going to be something after the last Ronin. So, and then also, we have so many things that they have the cartoon turtles comic book coming out, and I mean, the Power Rangers are coming back out. I'm surprised I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't do another Batman 3. If they did Batman 3 in Turtles.
Supposed to be 4.
4. I mean, geez. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they, like I said, they are by far one of the most versatile characters. I mean, how often do you see? Okay, have you ever seen like Marvel and Ghostbusters get together?
No.
I mean,
and I think they had the Ghostbusters in the 80s and early 90s with Star Comics. I think they got them after Valiant had them, right? And anybody that knows me knows I'm a really big Valiant guy. So I think they had that, and but yeah, no, there's like when it comes to like Turtles crossovers, it's always geared more towards DC. And I feel like that's been intentional because DC will let you play in their sandbox. Whereas like Marvel, they're like, nah, we can't do that. So I was alluding earlier to that Sal Buscema artwork from the Batman versus the Hulk. That was right around the time that like DC was contemplating to sell Batman to Marvel, which I mean, that would have been insane. It's like everything that we don't like throw it on its head and all that. But there were like certain rules. It's like you think about it now, like the Hulk would stomp Batman like unapologetically and just like move on and all that. But here in this one, Batman beat the Hulk. You're like, what? Yeah, how do you do it? Oh, smoke bomb and yeah.
That was a little
and don't get me wrong, it was cool because it was one of those things where you're like, oh, I never would have thought. Is that how that's going to play out? Oh, okay. But like you have to like take it with a grain of salt because that's what the artist and that's what the
they had to make up something, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you disagree,
broke his foot on Hulk's abs, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no. In all seriousness, you're right. Because it's kind of like that's like him fighting Blockbuster. That's like him fighting Solomon Grundy or anything else now. All these like Hulk analogs that have shown up, but there's only one Hulk, man.
Well, like and I mean the Hulk, well, there's not only one Hulk anymore because
I mean now we got
iterations that I've just
Hulkling, Amadeus, Scar.
But like even what we're saying, even when you go back to the turtle thing, like we're just talking about these 4 turtles crossing over, but you could take each individual and give them a crossover with somebody, and it would still rock. You could
it's just the personalities.
Leo with Batman or Ralph with Batman or what I'm saying, and just that turtle, and you could do Mike with somebody else and just that turtle, and have a whole compelling story around that still. You know what I'm saying? It's just the world, like there's too many branches, man. You can't.
IDW still got the rights to some of these. I know they don't have G.I. Joe or My Little Pony anymore, right? But I don't know. They still have Transformers, don't they?
I believe they managed to hold on to that.
Between that and like Godzilla and all that, I mean, it's there. Just pick it up.
Well, I mean, again, it's like it all, for me, it all comes down to the writing and how creative people are going to be with the writing.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it's just saying that this crossover with that is not enough, at least for me. in my palette, I really want to read a compelling story. Like you read Last Ronin, it was compelling. You were just like,
yeah,
this is a great way to do this. Like it was just beautifully done. Like
I don't know a single person who complained about the ending.
Nah, man, it was.
And I mean, when have you ever heard that? You know, like I mean, even like The Watchmen, people are like, I didn't like the ending. You're like, oh, okay, well, that's a thing. But you know, it's it was just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm closing it for the first time reading and going, that's the exact way this was supposed to happen. Yeah, and there's no doubt in my mind.
Just beautifully done. Just beautifully done. The artwork was amazing. It was just tight from start to finish. Like there's nothing. If you don't often get anything much better than that, where you go, man, start to finish, you're like, this was just beautiful. Like, you know, you're just sedated. You're just like, oh my God, this was great. You know what I'm saying?
Sedated, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I always love more, but if they just said that was it and it's done, I'm okay. Like I would be okay. Like I still love whatever, but you know what? I'm okay. You did such a strong, compelling. You know what I'm saying?
I'd be happy if they kept going with the variant covers. Yeah, that'd be fine.
You know, and I mean, that's been great. You know, being able to just put a little bit of taste on some of this and just, hey, this is me. You know, and love me or hate me, that's what's up. You know,
that's cool, man. I love the insights into that cover. That's fantastic.
But yeah, it's, you know, again, like I said, I'm hoping more to hit up with some more stuff turtle wise. I'm always hyped to jump on that, you know, but I'm a whatever guy. I don't shy from anything. You know, it's like, hey, we'd like you to do this, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Bring it, you know, do Papa Smurf and My Little Pony crossover. We don't want you to do a cover for that. Sure, no problem. Whatever.
Nice.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm happy to be in just the field of illustration. Everything is
it's your passion, it's your love.
It's a blessing to me. I'm happy to be able to draw and make a living drawing comic book characters and cartoons. That's what I've always loved. Like, you know, my dad wanted me to be an architect and I tried it and it was just not my speed. I had just too much, you know, floating up here for it, you know.
So did you go to school for architecture then?
Well, no. Well, I did it. I was doing it in high school. They offered a program in high school, but when I was doing it, it wasn't that I couldn't do it. It was just too boring to me. It was just too
slow. I
wasn't challenging enough for you.
Yeah, it was just too slow. And then I did animation at Sheridan College, and I was at Sheridan College doing animation. And then I got a chance to hook up. Well, before I even hooked up with Ken Lashley and stuff, I was with a former teacher of mine from Lester B. Pearson, my high school, Dave Watkins, and we had formed a studio called Shock Studios. And, you know, and from there, it was us, we're going to produce our own stuff and get our own books out, you know, and, you know, it was a lot harder back in the days, but, you know, that was a great experience. And then being able to work with Ken, it's like I learned a lot working with Ken. Ken Lashley is just one of those monsters. Like, you know, he's where the wild things are. Like, he's one of them monsters. He's really a phenomenal talent. He really is a phenomenal talent. That's and great. Being able to work with him, you know, I learned a lot too, you know, and then from there, leaving that and then being put into a situation where I had to develop stuff for another company called Cosmic. And so I was creating characters and stuff and doing all this stuff and storytelling. And then, you know what, I was refining myself through a lot of that, you know? And so that's what happened with me. So, but I got to meet Stan Lee. Great thing. I got to meet Stan Lee in San Diego. And one of the greatest things he said, like, you know, we're doing the classic stuff. He's walking and that's Stan Lee. So we run up to him. We're like, oh, Stan, how you doing? And he was always amazing. He just talked to us for like 20 minutes. No problem. And talked to us. And, you know, the classic, you know, grew up on your Spider-Man, grew this. Oh, yeah, we love your books and stuff and things. So he was like, where are you guys from? Toronto. And he was like, well, what do you guys do? Oh, well, yeah, we want to be comic book artists, you know, and stuff like that. And he goes, well, you know what? He goes, I'm excited that you love my stuff, but he goes, I look forward to seeing your stuff.
Cool.
You know, and And, you know, I was like, wow, like, he's like, yeah, I look forward to seeing your stuff, you know, because he goes, that's what it's about. Like, put your ideas, creative ideas out there in the world. And so I was like, yeah. And so I've been mostly on that independent route myself, like, you know, working with a lot of independents and trying to help get people's stories off. And I got my own stuff coming and stuff like that too. It's just, you know, in the end, I think every artist, that should be, if you're doing comic books and stuff, where your end game should kind of be like, okay, well, what's your thing to put into the world? You know what I'm saying?
And I know exactly what you're saying, because I was just thinking, I'm like, everyone in high school I knew who was in the art department would like, oh yeah, this is my character, I have this, and you know, a lot of them like we're like, oh, this is my anime character, or this is my, you know, story, my universe. And I mean, I've got mine that I've held on to for all this time. So you know, it sucks though, because like they kind of took the idea, and it was like, my guy was the Cape, and he had like these clips, like carabiner clips, where he would like change the angle of where the Cape was so he could fly on the wind and all that. And then like NBC comes out with a show called The Cape, and I'm like, well, I'm screwed. Yeah.
Hey man, like, I mean, you know, even up until like college, like even in college, through my college life, we were role playing. D&D was big. I actually miss it. I loved, you know, when you had a great DM.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, everything you just have to picture up here, you know, you got to see what he's saying. And it was just kept the brain just going. It was, and we would play for hours and hours and hours.
I was thinking that, you know, we were just playing earlier today, and I shout out to our DM, Doug Hall, who just came up with a Ninja Turtles system that was really a lot of fun to play.
Yeah.
And I got to play as Bondo Gecko, and and you know, I hit every trope in the book for like skateboarders and stuff like that, and you know, it was I lost my tail at one point. You know, it was something. It was really a fun thing, and all theater of the mind. And I'm sitting there, and I was just like, damn, this was 3 hours of like 5 adult men,
missed out on it today.
No pictures. You know, just it was really fun.
We used to come home from school, from Sheridan. We used to come home to the res. We would start at like 7 in the evening, and we would play until 5, 6 in the morning.
No kidding! Wow.
Just go. Boom. Everybody we'd sleep, get up, do whatever in the day, meet back for 7, and play again until.
So that was your partying on the weekends, right?
Man. Everybody go do the party, and I mean, you know, I still once in a while went to clubs and stuff. But boy, when we were like, oh no, we're gonna go on our campaign. Boom, I was there. Like, we were there, and it was so fun because it was interesting. Where there was guys who never played D&D, and then they would join us, and then they just got into it. Like, you would never think they were going to, and they by the end they were like, oh my god, they couldn't miss it. Like, they telling people, nah, I can't come, I'm role playing, you know, I'm gonna play D&D tonight. Like, it was that intense. Our DM was really good. He was just, you know, we'd be getting arguments about what we're going to do next. Like, we're in a situation, and we're like, you can't do that, man. If you do this, you're going to die. No, don't worry. I got a plan. You know, we're going back and forth like you think it was some like movie, you know, and it was hilarious. But when I think back, but man, being in animation and stuff and just drawing, and then just after we would finish, we would all be going back and just drawing for like hours, you know what I'm saying? Like, trying to reproduce things that we were listening to, you know what I'm saying? So I missed that. Like, yeah, we played the Turtles, played everywhere. We played all
that. Sounds like an amazing idea for a book. You know, if you imagine like just doing like illustrations of all that, of like stuff that you've played through that you can remember, and be like, yeah, this is just like a story of like, you know, 4 guys that get together and they do this. You could meta write the book, and then you could do, you know, the illustrations based on what's going on in their heads and all that. Man, that would be a great idea. I don't think anyone's ever done that.
Could be crazy.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot of fun. And you know, that's something that it's like the camaraderie and everything. That's kind of like being, you know, with the Turtles too, with like your core group of chosen family and all that. So that's pretty fun. I did want to ask you because we usually ask, but I didn't get to yet. Who's your favorite turtle?
Who's
Do you have one?
Favorite turtle?
I have an idea. Go ahead.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. It was really Mikey for the longest time. If you know,
caught you off guard there, Eric.
I used to really love the nunchaku. I really used to love the nunchaku, and I thought Mikey's personality, fun personality, but still be so kick-ass and funny about it. You know what I'm saying? Was a lot like my personality. I felt like, you know what I'm saying?
That's cool.
But you know, I really started to get into Ralph. I really started to get into Ralph because of that brooding, that sort of,
you get half credit for that.
Yeah, that just kind of,
better than Leo.
Hey, I'm a Leo guy. It's not going to change ever.
Well, when it's Leo and Ralph was like the dynamics. You ever watch a show G-Force? You remember G-Force?
Oh my God!
Yeah. Mark and Jason.
Battle for the Planets, right?
Yep. That was basically Leo and Ralph. That kind of tension. And just Leo just being that guy. Is just like I don't. Always getting into spats with the rest of the brothers and stuff like that. But boy, you know what? Mess with one of them and that's it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Leo's the first. I mean, Ralph's the first to get on your ass. Like, that's like in Last Ronin, you know what I'm saying? It was like, nah, I'm after these guys. You know what I'm saying? He's out and he's, and he, his end was real tragic, but like he was just like a man on a mission. You know what I'm saying? And nothing was going to stop him, right? Until he got his goal. And even though he was still taken out in the end, he still took out what he had to take out in the end. You know what I'm saying?
I think he took out like 20 guys on the way. It was like brutal.
Yeah, it was just I'm that dude.
He wasn't messing around, man.
Yeah, I'm that dude. Don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't stopping. Like I'm a whirlwind of terror right now. You guys don't even understand what you unleashed, and it's just like he's just that dude, right? And I love that. I love that about the character. But then again, that's why I said, like, as these characters grow and as you're reading with them and they grow, and you start getting into the personalities of each more and more and more, you realize the depths that you can go to is just crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can just do a lot of stuff. Why is Ralph the way he is? You know what I'm saying? Why is Mikey the way he is? Why is Don the way he is? Why is Leo the way he is? And they've skirted on certain things, but you can still delve more. You know what I'm saying?
Why blows my mind too that
always feel like he's the outsider? Like, why does he feel like even though he's in, he still doesn't feel in? Why? Like, why? What is that? What happened when they were coming up that made him feel that way?
It's such a human feeling too.
Yeah, it's such, we all go through those kind of things. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're in school or stuff as you're a youngster and you just like, I just don't fit in with anybody in the class, or that one kid that just, I don't know, nobody just likes that kid. Why couldn't he? Why doesn't he fit in? Like, you know what I'm saying? What is it? Or the quiet one that's just in the corner all the time. He doesn't speak to nobody. And you wonder what's going on in his life that makes him that way. There's just a lot of depth that you can go into any one of these characters. And people probably sit there and go, you turtle guys are crazy. These are turtles. And I'm like, well, no, that's the strength of comic books. When done right, that's the strength. You can talk about anything. You can push it as far as you want to go. It really just depends on what you're willing to do, and that's why I love the medium so much, That's why I love the medium so much. It's just such a.
It's very, very relatable. Like the turtles, like we have 4 of them, and they all have different personalities.
5, sir.
5. Well, 5 right now.
5 and a half. So because Venus has was it like frog parts, and I guess 6 if you count Slash, and 7 if you count Lita.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you want to get technical, we can say 8, and we have Toka.
Yeah. You are exactly right. I dare you to figure out his personality.
Mama. Yeah. But that's the whole thing is with Raph, Leo, Donnie, and Mikey. We all know that they have their different personalities.
That's it.
And we as people have different personalities.
That's it.
And me personally, like I related to Raph because I'm not gonna lie. You know, I have a little bit of Irish heritage in me, and I'm a hothead. I used to be a real big hothead. Now I'm cool, calm. I'm a little bit more calmer because, you know, I've learned, but I related to Raphael so much, you know, and it just, to me, I mean, that's why I connected with Raphael.
Definitely. I can see that wholeheartedly. That's what I'm saying. Like Mikey and Ralph for me were like the two that really made me. I came the closest to, and I'm sure, like you say, you talk about your Irish heritage and I'm a hothead, but it's not even necessarily that. I'm sure if anybody right now was to come and try to do anything to your family, hey, it's on. You know, you're probably a person that has a code, and you probably have a line, and you have a code, and you just believe in that line, and you believe in that code, and it's like, you know what, you don't cross it. You know what I'm saying? And you're just probably one of those people who just, I don't bend easy. You know what I'm saying? I carry myself a certain way. I have a certain, and I have a lot of respect for people like that, because code right now in a lot of people is not there. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, and so, you know, again, like the best characters you're going to get are the most relatable things, the things that relate, that people can see themselves in. That's when you're going to get the best books, the best stories,
the best stories, the best movies, and
hands down.
It's just, like I said, you got the 4 different personalities, and like I said, everybody's different, but there is something that somebody can relate to Leo, to Rav, to Mike, to Donnie. I mean, to any of them, even, you know, Jenica in the book, and or Venus. It doesn't matter. You can hell, you can relate to Shredder in some aspects.
That's it.
You know,
I mean, hate to say that, but you're right.
It's crazy to think that way, but there's a lot of relatable. I mean, we can relate to any character, but what do you relate to the most? What character do you relate to the most? And that's where Raphael comes into play. Like, I like Slash, I like Metalhead. You know, like those are my other characters. Like, people ask me, like, well, who do you like?
You like Metalhead, yeah.
Yeah, you know, who else do you like? I mean, Metalhead's really kind of not like have anything. I just like him. You know, not too many people like Metalhead, but it's different.
He's the boogeyman of the friggin' comic series, if you ask me. Like, he literally mentally terrorized Donnie and all that, and it's like, he is insanely scary, if you ask my opinion.
Yeah, but it's just, you know, you can relate to each character. With the TMNT universe, you can really, I mean, you can relate to a lot of things around, not just the turtles.
Yeah. Oh, agreed.
So, I mean, there's multiple characters. You got Karai, you got, I mean, Bebop, Rocksteady, you know, they're just kind of dummies in a sense, but brutes. You know,
it all boils down to where it just all boils down to how deep do you want to delve into who they are. You know what I'm saying? What goes on, what drives them, and the moment you figure out, okay, what is the principal thing that drives them to do what they do? Like, when you go think about Shredder, you know, on the outside, we see, oh, well, he's Shredder, he's the bad guy, he's after the turtles, he's this and that. I don't like Splinter, I don't like, you know what I'm saying? I don't like, you know, I never liked your master. You know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with that, but then you could still dive deeper and why does he have these ambitions? Like, what more caused him to have these tensions, and you know, what was going on with him to create the character, that what was maybe something really extra tragic happened that made him put him on a certain thought process. You can just do so much. Like, it just depends on how far you want to go with it, you know?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, me and my son, we watch Turtles every morning and every night. We watch on Totally Turtles on Pluto TV. And I have to say, with the 2012 Turtles, like you were talking about, like, you know, why does Shredder, you know, not like Splinter? What in the hell happened between them? And there's plenty of like they do like what is it called?
Flashbacks.
Yeah, it's not like necessarily it's kind of flashbacks, but it's the turtles go back into time and all this other stuff. But I want to say it's the TMNT universe. I think it's the universe, or I forget which one it is. But they go back and they find out what happened between Shredder and Splinter, and how like Karai is actually Splinter's daughter. And it's stuff like that. I mean, that's one thing I could really say about the 2012 Turtles is that they actually kind of go into some details with that, and they can do that with the books. You know what I'm saying? Do more with the books. Have these other stories. Have a Karai series. Have
Oh yeah, no, you're right.
That's it.
And you're seeing a lot of that with the best of books now, where it's like there's 4 titles out there for Turtles, right? There's your monthly series, there's Last Ronin, there's going to be the Saturday morning one, and there's the best of books. So, in the best of it's like best of Rat King, best of April, best of Jennifer, best of Baxter Stock, who is in my he is the real friggin' villain, and I love him. That is the favorite of all the voices that I do. Whenever I do the read through of the comics, Baxter is my number one. He just chews scenery like it's his job.
That's it, man. Watch out for them mouses, man.
That's great. This has been a really deep conversation. I really appreciate having you on.
Thanks, man,
Hugh, do you have anything that you're working on right now that we can point people towards? Kind of get people to follow you and
wow, like anything that I'm working on. I'm wondering
that you can talk about. We'll say
that's what I'm saying.
Because this is my feeling because you kind of said something a little bit earlier. Are you working on something that you're kind of creating?
Well, yeah, I'm working on a few little things that I can't speak about right now. But
okay, I heard it in your voice, so I know that you got something under your sleeve. That's why I'm asking.
2023 is going to be very, very interesting. We got some announcement. I got an announcement that's coming this week of another variant cover that we got coming now. They don't want me to say anything, so
no worries. We won't press you.
But you guys,
who's it under? Can you give us that?
Probably not.
Maybe? It's Oni. It's Oni.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Oni. So that'll be announced this week, and it's just like there's just a lot of cool stuff happening, and just because of where I'm at with what it is, I can't really put it out there yet until everything else is solidified around it, just so that it's, you know what I'm saying. But there's a lot of cool stuff that's coming, and I'll definitely keep you guys abreast of all of that stuff as it comes through. But people can always hit me up. I'm always doing sketch covers and stuff like that. You'll see me posting all of that kind of stuff. And I'm hitting the convention circuit. I'll be in New York.
Oh wow!
In the next couple of weeks, I'll be in New York, so I'll be there with Maze Studios. And
big deal. That's the second largest con in the country.
Yeah, so I'm going to be there.
A big deal.
So anybody who's in New York, come check me at the Maze booth.
Our last guest, Gavin Smith, will be there too.
Oh, cool. Yeah. All right. So you see, it's going to be all of us there representing, man. So yeah, come check us out, definitely. And I'm gonna have, because the 132 was a joint with Big Country and Maze. So I'll have Turtles books there, signing and stuff like that, plus some other works, and it's just going to be cool. I did an exclusive 2 variants for Maze Studios for their title called The Mistakes. So yeah, definitely check that out if you guys like a fun read. Definitely check that out. But man, guys, I just keep following me, man. You'll
trust me, I'm following you. Don't worry.
And it's really cool. But it's honestly an honor and a pleasure. I really thank you guys for giving me an opportunity to come on your program. And
and we'll have you on again. Not to worry. So
don't worry about that. Yeah.
Awesome, and I hope by that point I've done another Turtles book or so. You know what I'm saying? It'd be really, really cool. I would love to get a couple under my belt. So
So with that, what we'll do is we'll end here. So you folks, if you see the banner down below for anyone on YouTube or for any of the listeners, you have at Hugh Rookwood Art on Instagram, at Hugh Rookwood on Twitter, and you can check out it's Chosen, CHOZEN Studios.com, and hit him up on social media. I mean, he's not a hard guy to find in terms of getting sketch art done.
He's very responsive. I promise
absolutely.
you that.
You know,
and check it out.
You can prints or anything like that. Yep, go to my Chosen Studios and get your prints. You can see some of the print artwork and stuff like that.
And check out the things are getting sketchy, for the nights that they have there, and and you can bid on all this awesome artwork.
Thank you.
And Eric,
or get
anything
a
you want to say? Your coasters. Anything you want to say before we go to break here?
Oh no, but I do, but it's definitely a pleasure having you on here, Hugh.
Thanks,
I mean, it's to be honest with you, me and Justin, we've talked about this a long time ago, and it's been long overdue. And we needed to get you on here, and I'm glad that we did. And
had to geek out a little bit.
Yes. Definitely, it's definitely a pleasure having you, and trust me, we'll be definitely be having you back on here. Hell, we might even do with your tag team partner maybe together.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, geez.
And next time if you guys want, you know what I'm saying, we can while we're talking, I can do a live draw while we're talking. And
oh wow,
hey, that's
auction it off at the end of the show for one of the fans, the followers of the program. You know what I'm saying? I'm down for whatever. So you know what I'm saying?
Wow. Mike did that. Mike asked us that on his, but look, you guys do a lot of work. You need a little break to talk and just
we need that full energy so we can talk about both staff stances and such.
It's about for me it's always about giving back to the community, man.
Yeah. And that's amazing, and that's one thing I could say about with you and Mike. I mean, you guys really, I mean, I don't know how many times you guys did on that stream where you guys did charity work. I mean, I think that's amazing that you got a lot of you guys just give back, even though that you guys are, doing all this stuff. But I believe in karma, and, the more you give, the more you get,
I'll just say for the last thing, because I know you guys got to bounce. I just say, look, man, none of this happens without the people. We're in the entertainment industry, and none of this happens without the people. If the people don't say, hey, we love you and hail you up, there's no work. There's no anything.
Mm-hmm.
Not people buying your book, buying your cover, nothing. The people are everything. And I never, that's always in front for me. I always respect that. And I appreciate everybody who comes and listens to this program, this podcast, and comes, and anybody who hits me up and says, hey, you know what I'm saying, Hugh, would like something from you. It's always appreciated.
That's fantastic. So, yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
All right. With that, I'm going to say for our viewers on YouTube, stay tuned for a word from our sponsor. And for you listening on the audio podcast, we will be right back with our pizza recipe.
That's it.
It's pizza time.
And now, in a segment that we call Pizza Time, where we discuss any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle or pizza-related food, I give you Pizza Time. Hey dudes, here it is. Time for your pizza of the week. This is pepperoni and sweet pickle pizza. This makes one 12-inch pizza. Pepperoni and pickles are the perfect mashup for salty and sweet, chewy and crisp. This is one that Eric's going to hate. Want to go all-out savory? Swap the bread and butter pickles for dill slices instead. Then get ready to do some serious damage to this delectable pie. Ingredients: cornmeal or flour for dusting, extra virgin olive oil for greasing, 1 pound ball pizza dough, homemade or store-bought, 2/3 cup of New York style pizza sauce, 3/4 cup shredded low moisture mozzarella cheese, 22 to 24 pepperoni slices, and 1/2 to 1 cup of bread and butter or dill pickle slices. Line it up, dudes. You can use whole wheat pizza dough, or you can use our recipe for sourdough pizza dough too. Instructions: on a baking stone or a steel pizza peel, place your baking stone in the middle rack of the oven, preheat to 500 degrees Fahrenheit for at least 30 minutes. Then turn the oven to broil. Dust a pizza peel or inverted baking sheet with cornmeal or flour. On a baking sheet, preheat the oven to 500 degrees Fahrenheit with a rack in the middle position. Lightly coat a heavy-duty rimmed baking sheet with olive oil. Step 1. Stretch or roll the pizza dough over a 12-inch disc and place it on the prepared pizza peel for the baking sheet. Step 2. Spoon the sauce onto the dough and spread it out in an even layer, leaving 1/2-inch border of dough all around. Step 3. Sprinkle half of the cheese, then arrange the pepperoni and pickles on top. Finish with the remaining cheese. Step 4. Shimmy the dough from the peel to the hot baking stone or transfer to the baking sheet in the oven. Step 5. Bake until the crust is golden and the cheese begins to brown in spots. About 6 to 10 minutes on the baking stone or 10 to 15 minutes on the baking sheet. Step 6. Remove the pizza from the oven and let it rest for 5 minutes. Slice and serve. Here's your savory and sweet pepperoni and pickle pie.
Cowabunga, dudes!
Thank you for listening to the Epic Tales from the Sewers podcast. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. This podcast has no affiliation with Eastman, Laird, Mirage Studios, IDW Studios, Archie Comics, or Nickelodeon Studios. This podcast is a member of the Dorkening Podcast Network. Check out thedorkening.com for other podcasts. Epic Tales from the Sewers is recorded by Justin Cooper and Eric Will.
Hi, this is Francois Chow. I am the Shredder from Secret of the Ooze. And it's been a pleasure for me to talk to Justin and Eric on Epic Tales from the Sewers. It's been great, guys.
Hi, this is Adam, a.k.a. Casey Jones from Casey Jones Livewire, and you're listening to Epic Tales from the Sewers. Time for a knuckle sandwich, punk.
Greetings! We are the Retro Reductopus Cephala Podcast, a bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
He's right. We wax philosophic about lots of geeky crap like old video games and movies, toys, cartoons. I don't know, help me out here.
Music, pants, quoting video games that don't have dialogues, shabibans, tasty news,
unnecessarily long Japanese onomatopoeia,
butt breathers, uncomfortable nature facts,
or how to install a Samoflange.
And unlike all those other podcasts, we at Retro Reductopus have an exciting rotating host schedule.
Do we?
We sure do.
So, if you didn't like the guy flapping his gums this week,
like me,
worry not, gentle listener. Next week we'll have a whole new host.
Of problems.
Hey, they might still suck, but they'll suck differently.
And you know what's really cool? Retro Reductopus is part of the Dorkening and Inebriar podcast networks, with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
Which is like every other Tuesday. We named it.
Anyways, you can listen to us at iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, or any podcast player cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all things that make growing up awesome.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists. And we all love a good cup of joe. And there's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. Bold, robust, delicious. It's coffee that can wake the dead. With over a dozen different roasts and flavors, Deadly Grounds can satisfy the most finicky of coffee addicts. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.